we weren't expecting him to be there. He was pretty high up on our board. Uh, what we liked about him is just, he's a playmaker. He's a football player. He's a fun watch. Sean, I did him during the season, then after the season, and Sean and I watched him last week. We just couldn't stop watching him. Just the instincts, the anticipation, the route awareness, zone coverage, really sticky in man, doesn't give up many completions. I don't think he gave up a touchdown. We kept looking. The ball skills, in the run game, this guy's really good in the run game, really good tackler, really good blitzer, and just he plays all over the field. This guy's got really good football intelligence, so he just kind of fits everything we're looking for in a player. You talk about versatility, football intelligence, playmaking ability. He's just going to add to a really good defense, so we're excited to have him.
Yeah. Man, this is the best I could do for Broncos content because I didn't see anything on Get Up, NFL Live, First Things First, The Herd. Like, no one's talking about the Broncos because, it's not a sexy pick, I suppose. But I was live streaming the NFL draft, and this caught, pretty much everyone off guard. And I think, with the Broncos, a lot of people are expecting them to especially go offense, running back, tight end, whatever. Someone to help kind of out Bo Nix. And I think it's interesting because I've talked about some of these other playmakers or some of these other picks that you could have, like the Ashton Genties of the draft, and kind of this idea of like, do you draft a running back high? Kind of where do you go from here in terms of what's kind of like this optimal draft order? And I think the more I thought about this draft pick, the more I was kind of like, I love this idea of doubling down on this defense because I've talked about this a lot with this division, that like this division is going to be won through defense. It's going to be big defensive plays. Do you get that strip sack? Do you tackle the wide receiver 6 yards short of the first down? Like do not let them get out and break a tackle. Like that's what this division is going to come down to when you're playing the Chargers, the Chiefs, and now the Raiders. And so doubling down on this defense, adding depth, adding physicality, versatility, high IQ players on defense, because you're going up against high IQ offenses. Like you just are. You're talking about Harbaugh and Herbert, Andy Reid and Mahomes. And so being able to stack high level defensive talent, I think goes such a long way. And the rest is you're trusting Sean Payton to be able to get second, third round talent offensively and be able to find those diamonds, being able to find those diamonds in the rough, to be able to develop those players, to be able to maximize a second round quarterback and get 95% of what you could get from an Ashton Genty or, whatever name we want to use as a placeholder for a top running back. And, you combine that with Bo Nix, and you're going to be in a great spot. You're going to be in a great spot. And then I think this also sets up, because remember, this is the NFL steps. So it's like you just can't expect with the Broncos this year 2 with Bo Nix, boom, Super Bowl, let's go, right? Like it just rarely works like that. And if it does, it's because Bo Nix just skyrocketed through the roof, and he's like become a top 3 elite quarterback in the NFL. It's possible. I'm not necessarily predicting it. I'm not predicting it, but like, you have to be really, really special. And so again, this now just sets them up for, especially a draft next year that's going to be most likely very quarterback driven. There'll probably be no shortage of offensive weapons for a team like the Broncos to grab in 2026. And again, they're going to be able to make moves in in the later rounds as well. I'm making this video before round 2. I assume they're going to go running back in round 2. Maybe I'll be proven wrong with that one, but I believe so. And I think that's a great order, because unless there was a running back that the Broncos truly wanted and were really excited about, then it's like I'm totally okay with saying, you know what, we can get someone who we can get a ton of production out of in the second, third round. Let's get a true playmaker on defense someone that's going to elevate this defense even more so, because we're going to need it, right? It's going to be all hands on deck defensively. And, again, it's such an interesting balance when you have a defensive coach versus an offensive head coach, and kind of like how you want to go about it, right? Because on one side, you're kind of like, hey, I'm an offensive head coach. Give me the pieces, give me the draft, let's go, get me the guys, and I'm gonna win. I'm gonna build an awesome offense. And Sean Payton is kind of almost like the opposite, where he's like, go out and get the defensive dudes, right? Like, I know offense. I will find a way. I will find a way to put up the points. Go out and build the best defense you possibly can. Get the draft picks, spend the money, free agency, etc., etc. Give me my quarterback, give me a great defense, give me an O-line, and I will figure out the rest. I will find a way. I don't need the Justin Jeffersons of the world. I don't need a Nash Genti of the world. Don't get me wrong, I love to have those guys, and if we can find some of those in the later rounds, or again in a situation for year 3 of the Bo Nix Sean Payton train, it's like, sure, let's get after it. But it's like, I don't need that right now to ensure that we are going to be successful, right? I'm not Eberflus and Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears here. Like, I understand what we need, and I also understand that this is, this takes steps, that you can't have everything immediately. We can't stack Bo Nix, we can't surround Bo Nix with a stacked roster by year 2, but just flushed with weapons, nor do we need that, because you saw what we had, and we made the playoffs with what we had. And we saw what we could do offensively with what we have. So give us an even better defense, get us better, more possessions, better field position. Now a year 2 quarterback instead of a year 1 quarterback, more experience at that position. We're going to get even more production offensively. We even made some moves in terms of free agency to boost the offense. And I think it really kind of rounds out. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the following rounds for sure. Like I said, I assume running back. And it's widely seen as a pretty deep running back draft. Now, I think the argument could be made that they could have gotten Hampton, right? But it's interesting because the Chargers defense was already set, and the Broncos defense is great as well. So it's kind of like, you pretty much had a team that had, I don't want to say similar needs, but there's a lot of comparisons with each other, and they're obviously facing each other. So it is interesting, and obviously they drafted 20, and then the Chargers drafted 22. So it is going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting, but if they really had Barron on the board above anyone else, and they were just like, hey, man, this is a true playmaker on defense, we are going to be able, even if we thought someone like a Hampton is an awesome running back, and maybe that was our main guy who we wanted, if someone like a Genti didn't fall to us or something, we're okay going in the second round. That's why, again, I'm sorry I'm making this video before the second round. Like, that's what's going to be interesting to see, how this all kind of gets rounded out. The Broncos are very much in the classical, we got to see the whole draft unfold to really be confident in any conclusions. But I always find it fascinating when you have an offensive head coach get after defensive players in the offseason. Like, and that's what the Broncos have largely done. Those are the big moves that they made, was on defense, and now they drafted defense. Like, that's a vision that Sean Payton is looking to execute. And again, I find it fascinating, and it also shows an insane belief in Bo Nix, because you don't have this feeling of like, oh God, we got to get another wide receiver, we got to get a running back, we got to have, it's like they don't seem to have that feeling of like, oh gosh, we got to get this guy, we got to get that guy, we got to get this guy, oh my God, we need a big time wide receiver, we need another guy, like, we just need to have him, just flushed with weapons. Like, there isn't that feeling. It's kind of like, no, man, like, let's have an awesome defense. Like, let's have a bully defense. We will put up points. We will find a way. And, and when we need Bo Nix to manage some of these tighter, closer, low-scoring games, we got the quarterback to do it. We got the quarterback mobility to do that too. If the run game is kind of lacking, we got the strong, big body. We got the Josh Allen type physical level of a player. So, like I said, I'm so excited to see kind of like how we started with Bo Nix and Sean Payton in year one, what this is going to continue to evolve in year two, because I'm anticipating it to look pretty different. I'm not really looking to see it being like a repeat of year one. And I think year one is such an exploratory process of like, we believe what we have, but we don't really know what we have. Now we know what we have. What do we need now for year two? How do we build off of year one? How do we maximize what we did in year one? And how do we add more tools to this team? And again, they're clearly going defense, at least early on right now. And yeah, it's fascinating to see. It's really, really fascinating to see, because again, look at what the Chicago Bears have done with Caleb Williams. Like it's weapons, tight end, O-line. Like it's a lot. And so I find it thought provoking in terms of the path that Sean Payton is looking to do with Bo Nix. And if it wasn't Sean Payton, I would be concerned. I would be like, if this was like Mike Tomlin, I'd be like, what are they doing? Are they doing enough to support Bo Nix? Like, I would actually be kind of hesitant and kind of be like, a little bit unsure. But that's the benefit of when you have a great offensive head coach and an offensive head coach that like legitimately knows what he's doing. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Denver Broncos draft so far, and them deciding to throw everyone with a bit of a curveball, going with a defensive player, cornerback? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.